She says, I want them to know that I actually would pray for my husband to come back and get me. He was my morning, noon, and night.
Yes, he was.
She says, so when I died, she says, and I was transitioning on, he was there. And when I saw him, I got so excited. Your dad's right here because he said to me, that's my daughter. And the moment I'm connected with your father, all I smell is cigarette smoke on the other side when I'm connected with him. Because he was like the Marlboro man when I'm connecting with him. Because he's coming through in spirit and there's all this smoke that's there.
Yes.
It's so funny because when I'm connecting with your dad, he says to me, Matt, he goes, you need to tell my daughter, he says, that I'm still smoking on the other side. I'm still smoking on the other side, he tells me. And by the way, he thinks this is so fun that you're at a casino right now. Your father goes, because he used to also like to bet here in the physical world when I'm connecting with him.
Yes.
He says, and Matt, if only this existed when I was here to enjoy it, he said to me. When I'm connecting with him, first of all, this man had problems in multiple parts of his body when I'm speaking to him on the other side. And right away, when I'm connecting with your dad, he tells me there was circulation issues going all through him. Because right away, he kept saying to me, Matt, I can't feel my feet. I can't feel my feet. Showing me that what he went through here in this world. But what's really tough with your dad is that he hid a lot of things from you, and he hid a lot of things from the family here in this world. Because I see that you were all suspecting that things were going on with him, but you weren't quite sure what was actually happening with him.
Yep, at the beginning.
So know that what your dad is telling me is this. When I'm speaking to him, he says, Matt, the one thing that they need to know is that now that I died, now that I'm on the other side, he says, I'm so different, he says to me. He says, I can walk, I can move, I can speak, all of these things. And I don't want them to think back to what they saw here in this world. Your father tells me when I'm connecting that he fell here in this world. Oh, your mother fell here in this world.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, I might be picking up on her. And she also is a part of it as well?
Yes.
Okay. And did she pass after that fall?
Yes.
Sorry, that was my fault. Know that she's also coming through from the other side as well. The two of them are together. I got to tell you that for her to step forward, I feel like she just pushed her dad out of the way because all I'm hearing is about her now.
That's what she would do.
Well, listen, your loved ones don't change once they get to the other side. She just said to me, she says, Matt, she says, first of all, okay, when I'm connecting with your mom, this was a really tough passing because your mom was so independent here in this world. And she says to me, Matt, she says, you don't understand. My daughter's tried to help me in so many ways, and they feel so upset because you keep feeling, why didn't your mom let you help her? Why didn't she let you step in? She says to me, Matt, she goes, I didn't want to admit that I was sick. I didn't want to admit that all these things were going on with me. So when she fell, and then next thing you know, she had all these complications afterwards. Please know that the one thing that your mom tells me is this. She says, Matt, I want to thank my daughters for stepping forward and for being my voice of reason here in this world. She keeps telling me, I wanted to come back home. I wanted to come back home. I wanted to come back home. So were you bringing her back home at the time of her passing? Mm-hmm. No, it's her way of thanking you so much for that. But she says to me this, she goes, I really want to be in my house. She goes, I feel like I lost all of my independence. Not because of the fact that you took anything away from her. It's because of what her body was doing on the inside. She says, and Matt, she tells me that she used to get into trouble at your house, not in a bad way, but because she always tried to be helpful. She always tried to do things.
Oh, my God, yeah. A pain in the ass.
You know your mother can hear you, right? You kept saying to her mom, like, don't do that, Ma, leave that alone. Because she tells me, like, her screwing with the trash and, like, screwing with things.
Yes.
And you're like, Mom, stop that. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to hurt yourself. She goes, but Matt, she goes, my daughters wanted me to sit in the house like this. She says, and I couldn't do that. She goes, I just wanted to help. She goes, I just wanted to live my life for God's sake. She keeps telling me. She says, but the one thing that she's letting you know is she knows that you did that for her out of love. But your mom also tells me, she goes, Matt, I wasn't as delicate as I looked, she says to me. And that's one of the things that she's acknowledging. But it's funny because when I'm speaking to her, she actually tells me that that's what's so tough with you every single day is that you tried to protect your mom so much. It's like you had her in this bubble. Like you didn't want anything to happen to her. You were so worried about, her hurting herself or getting sick or something happening. And then she fell. And you were like, oh my God, I was so worried about this happening. Know that your mom said to me this. She says, Matt, if there's one thing that I never regretted, she says, that was the time that we spent together here in this world. She says, because when I first got sick, or I first started having issues, she goes, those last years were the most, monumental years of my life. Because she tells me that she got to have such a strong connection with the both of you. She says, oh, Matt, we did so much with one another. She says, I got all this bonding time with them. I got all this love with them, and she wants to thank you so much for that. Because she actually tells me, your dad was there to greet her. Yeah. And she kept saying to me, she goes, this all happened after my husband died, And do you know that when you took your mom in and you did all those things for her? She says, Matt, she says, I knew what they were doing. She says, I knew that they were spending as much time with me as possible until I went to the other side. Mm-hmm. But I'm also going to tell you something else, and you're not going to like what I have to say, but it doesn't come from me. She says to me, she goes, Matt, she says, I want them to know that I actually would pray for my husband to come back and get me.
Oh, I bet. Oh, yeah, we know that.
She says, because I just was having such a hard time without him here in this world. Mm-hmm. He was my morning, noon, and night.
Yes, he was.
She says, so when I died, she says, and I was transitioning on, he was there. And when I saw him, I got so excited. She says, because I knew that for him to come through, that there was a heaven, it was real, and I knew that there was no reason for me to worry.